Hello everyone, my name is Annalise. I run a YouTube channel called Petite Primary and I'm a newly qualified primary school teacher. So coming out of my PGCE, I wanted to talk about placements today. Now this video can apply for whether you're doing the undergraduate route or the PGCE route, but I think school placements are such a key part of the training journey, your teaching journey, and I really wanted to make this video to give you tips on how to benefit the most from your placement. My first tip would be to immerse yourself in anything and everything possible. I like to say that all experience is good experience, and there are some things that you wouldn't necessarily think about but are actually great for you to experience before it's your first time doing it as an NQT. So for example, helping a teacher set up a display. That sounds really daft, but actually if you arrive NQT year and you have to make your first ever display and you have no idea how to do it, or you don't know how to lay it out, or you don't know what's expected to be on there, yeah, it can seem a bit daunting. But getting involved in things like that, asking your mentor, is there anything else I can help you with? Is there any planning that we could do together? Anything like that. All experience is useful and you never know when it will be helpful or apply to you in future. Another way of immersing yourself is to observe others. Can you observe other teachers in the same year or in different years or even in different year groups? If you can observe different people, every single teacher has their different style, has their different way of doing things, and you don't know, if you're in like a 2 or 3 form school, the same lessons may actually be approached completely differently. And during your teaching journey, you don't necessarily know what your teaching style is unless you've had an opportunity to try different things out. Observing as many people as possible is a great way for you to get exposure to different techniques or different styles that you might later adapt. My second tip would be to communicate with others. Sit in the staff room, talk to other members of staff. It's a great way to get a real glimpse at what teaching life is like, because they're behind closed doors, there's no kids around, and you often hear real stories or real struggles about what a teacher might be experiencing, and it gives you a real honest view of school life. And you know, teaching is an amazing profession, but there will be ups and downs, and I think it's important to not go in completely naive to the struggles or the difficulties that might be experienced in day-to-day life. It's also a great way to ask questions or ask feedback to subject leads. So you might plan something or show your mentor something, but if science isn't necessarily their speciality and you're sat next to the science lead, then just asking them a question or asking them, what is your favorite thing to teach? Any questions like that, it just helps you to gather more knowledge on the subject, knowledge on school life, honestly, communicating with others, communicating with teachers in different year groups, it's all beneficial. My third tip would be to not be afraid of forming student-teacher relationships. You might think, okay, I'm only here for 4 weeks or I'm only here for 6 weeks and it might not be worth it, but every single second is worth it. And another thing about forming relationships with the children, it means that when you are teaching, they are more likely to respect you. If you kind of stay quite distant or don't try and get involved with what children are doing, those kind of things, and they're less likely to respect you and less likely to see you as a teacher. They might see you more as a volunteer or somebody who just comes in to observe, something like that. You really want to, like I said, immerse yourself in the whole classroom experience. It is also beneficial for when you do start your NQT year, and that way you have already some tools and techniques to help you build relationships with children. If you've kind of avoided it the whole time and then suddenly you have your own class with 30 plus children and you suddenly don't necessarily know how to form relationships with them, you don't have any examples of icebreakers, you don't really know what you could do to get to know the children a bit better, it kind of gets a bit awkward and it might make your life harder than it has to be. Another thing about that actually that I might add is that it links really well with the teaching standards. So if you are expected to gather evidence during your placements, then that's good evidence of TS7, which is about behaviour, TS1, which is about creating a safe and secure environment for the children, but it can also include TS5, which is about differentiation, and TS8, which is about communicating with parents and things like that. Okay, my fourth and last tip is about researching the school beforehand. Not only does that help you settle in quicker because you know the ins and the outs, you know what their behaviour policy is, you know what their SEND policy is, etc. but it also means that you could potentially take advantage of any things they have in place in the school. For example, they might have a calm room or a nurture room. You can ask questions about that. Say, oh, who are they for? When would it be appropriate to use them? What happens in a nurture room? Those kind of things. And if you've already got that knowledge, then for your next placement, if they've got those rooms, for example, you already know a lot about it and you're more comfortable in using them, or you're more aware of the advantages of it, that kind of thing. It also means that wherever you end up in your NQT year, you have some exposure to it. If you enter and you've just read the policy, but you don't really know when to use the room, who it's for, how to use it effectively, what happens there, what to prepare for it necessarily, then it's just a whole extra workload that you could have avoided if you research beforehand and just try to make use of those facilities in the school and try and learn more about it for future reference. So that's all of my tips on how to make the most of your school placement. If you did find this helpful, then please give it a like. I also have 2 other placement videos on my Petite Primary channel, and as always, go and subscribe to UCAS because they have so many useful tips for all kind of subjects and all kind of stages in your educational journey. And hopefully I will see you soon. Bye!